Dissolution of the past is an integral step in ascending to higher states of consciousness. I was shocked when this happened. It's happening now. And I didn't want to post on it because it just doesn't even seem real. But what I've experienced over the last 3 to 6 weeks has been an erasing, really, of my core negative belief systems. The stories of the ego that led to immense suffering are now gone, essentially. When I say gone, I don't mean like, oh, I forgot them because I've got all this gray hair and all these decades of living and memories just not as sharp. That may in fact be true. However, that's not what I mean here. What I mean here is these stories, which I used to be able to recall and anchor to. This might be like some bad relationship experience or getting passed over for a promotion or losing a job. It could be any number of things. Whatever it is that those core beliefs that you hold. I used to be able to go to them, access them, sit in them, stew in them. The ego loved this. The ego just ate this up because in all of those experiences, these experiences of suffering, there are two important players. One, an oppressor and a victim. The oppressor is usually some external force, and the victim is the ego. You see how this is ego, external forces. This is nowhere in here are we talking about our connection to source or spirit or our internal landscape in a pure way. This is the ego interacting with the external world and anchoring to these stories. A great example of this might be something like, let's assume you work in sales, and you worked on a big transaction and it closed. And you worked on a big transaction and it closed, and you worked on a big transaction and it didn't close. And then you had a lot of suffering around that lack of close. Like maybe you're planning to buy a house with the proceeds of your commissions and you can't. And so so the next time you get through the sales process, the ego's sitting there pointing back at, well, the last time this went sideways and this happened, it's going to happen again, right? And it starts to create those energetic tracks in our neural pathways that anchor you into specific belief systems. And then let's say that deal goes sideways. Then the third time you're back in that situation, following the last time that you had success, the ego is now fully expecting it to happen. And it's yapping about how this and that, and this never goes my way. And the more that you can anchor to those old stories, the more that you can anchor to a reality that is just a repetition of old cycles. So if you're going to ascend to higher states of consciousness, at some point, these old cycles need to end. And I always thought that they would end because you would just heal beyond them, and you would get a new perspective, and you wouldn't remember that anymore. And that would be the end of those belief systems, and therefore the end of the programs that are creating this reality that you're suffering in. And that's true. But what's been profound for me recently has been the observation that these stories can just collapse within your energetic field such that you remember them. You can go back and visit those experiences, but it's like you can't, they're etheric. You can't touch them. You can't grab them. There's no substance to them anymore. They're like wisps of smoke and you can't catch it. And what that's really profoundly reminded me of is that it was all an illusion in the first place. Isn't that fascinating? After all these years of suffering along these paths, these same wounds, these core wounds, these really difficult experiences, if I had no memory, I might not have been creating those cycles over and over again in my life. And now that the memory is dissipating, I am optimistic that those cycles will not return. New cycles will come, and I will learn from those, and those will dissolve as well. And this is the journey of those who take it upon themselves to raise their consciousness and transcend the ego, the material world, and lower frequencies.